that Althea? Good morning, good morning. Can you hear me? Oh, because I muted. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How you
Oh,
doing?
okay. I had to figure out how.
Is Althea?
Yes.
Hey, okay, I thought it was you. How are you?
I'm good, and yourself?
Good. What's going on, Jason?
Hey, Paul, good morning. I mean, good afternoon. How's it going?
Good afternoon. It's going pretty good. I'm pretty good, man. I won't complain. All right. We'll give folks, I guess, a couple more minutes. Let's see Rahel here. Let me check in on her. All right. All right, guys, I want to be as efficient as possible with our session today. So I'm gonna probably just get right into it. I see Christopher is on. How you doing, Chris?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay, I'm good. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, well, man, long time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, hope all is well. I assume all is well.
Yeah, all is well. Thank you.
It's good.
Yeah.
All right, so Ty was on as well. All right, guys, it's 12:19. I want to try to hit this within an hour. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Thank you all for dialing in. I thought it would be good to kind of open up the invitation to just do a sync up with you all regarding security control assessment, right? Before we get into security control assessment, also called SCA, right? Security control assessor. You'll see, a lot of job website. If you type SCA, you'll see a lot of security control assessment jobs, and a lot of what we're going to be talking about is actually going to cover a lot of those job descriptions. We want to plan. I want to book about an hour for today, but I also want to book 3 more sessions to kind of wrap up the whole genre, I guess, so to say, right? But yeah, so this we're gonna have a session today, and I'm gonna post the rest of the sessions, future sessions. They'll also be recorded, so I'm gonna post them on the website as well. So if you miss one, you probably try to make them all live, but if you miss 1 or 2, you can always catch it live on the website. Except for Jason. Jason's required to be here all the time. He's just stuck with me. So Jason and Rahel, they gotta be here and show up. Everybody else, you can always catch the recorded if the time doesn't meet up with you. But yeah, so before I take the deep dive into security control assessment, I want to maybe first take a step back and ask and just, well, not ask, but discuss what is needed before you even get to the security control assessment portion, right? And what's truly needed is RMF step 1 through 3, right? I'm trying to be careful with my words because I don't know how many people on this call are aware of RMF step 1 through 3, right? Long story short, if you know RMF step 1 through 3, you know at the end of step 3, you're supposed to have a system security plan, right? Those that are not familiar with what I'm talking about, you kind of have to just go back to the website and understand the RMF step 1 through 3 portion. But long story short, you come up with a system security plan is drafted and developed, right? That system security plan basically lists out how you plan to secure your system, right? It's a plan. It's the ISO drafts it up. However, you're now taking that system security plan You're gonna have a third-party assessor, right? Someone that is not within your, I don't want to say within your organization, someone that is not an ISO for your system now takes the SSP and say, okay, now you need to prove to me that you in fact are implementing these controls that you've declared that you've implemented on your system security plan, aka your SSP, right? And that's where the security control assessment begins. So that is RMF step 4, right? I'm going to share my screen with you all, and I want to talk about the guidance. Like, where does NIST provide the guidance for assessing security control? Does anybody here want to chime in and tell me what special publication provide guidance on system on assessing systems
That's 53.8, right?
53.8. Very good. Yep. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you all real quick. Which one do I want to share? I think I'll share this one. Yep. Share screen. Right. So if you know me, you know I'm a big fan of Google. I don't like to have stuff up because one of the big thing about being a security analyst, guys, I have favorites, right? You should definitely use your favorites, but you just got to get used to just pulling stuff up on the internet. The internet is your archive. You don't need to save things in your phone. I mean, you can save them too, but just get used to it, right? So anyways, NIST 853A, right? So we're just gonna pull that up real quick, and we'll pull it up from NIST website. Make sure it says NIST on it, right? That's how you prevent your computer from getting viruses and all that good stuff. All right, so I'm just gonna pull this up, and this is pretty much the documentation. So for those that are aspiring security control assessors, this is definitely the documentation you want to make your bathroom breathe. If you really want to get deep into understanding everything, right? I'm gonna pretty much give you guys a breakdown of what you need to do, but this long document, love it, hug it, get to know it. If you really want to know the ins and outs of security control assessment, this is the document that you want to go to, right? So I definitely want to make you guys aware that the NIST 853A is the document that you want to do that. Now, the NIST, not to be confused with the NIST 853, right? The NIST 853 talks about security controls, period, right? They don't talk about how to actually assess them, right? NIST 853 just lists out all the different security controls. But anyways, another thing I want to draw your attention to as well is pretty much everything I just talked about is, check out our YouTube channel, right? I know this is a popular video here, RMS Step 4, Assessing Security Controls. It basically talks about pretty much what I just talked about in the last 5 minutes, except I take 9 minutes to tell you about it. If you want to learn, if you want to maybe keep that in your back pocket, I'll go ahead and put this in the chat box as well. Jason, how you doing, man? You following so far? Am I going too fast?
Nah, you're good to go, man. Following well and taking some great notes, so I appreciate it.
Awesome. Good. You'll be my pacer, okay? And make sure I don't.
Good. Well, we're doing good right now.
All right, good. Where's my chat box? Man, where is my chat box? Oh, there you are. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna post the video here. As far as the NIST 853, you can Google that because I want you to, if you're not a Googler, please become a Googler. All right, so what are we talking about, right? You're a security control assessor. You're coming into an organization, right? They already have their SSP drafted. I mean, they don't have a authorized SSP. They probably should be calling you, right? It's not time for you to go. So you come into the situation. You have no idea what the system is about because it's not your system. You're not the ISO for it, right? So you come into the situation, and it's your job essentially to audit the system and to identify the security weaknesses within the system as you go through your audits, right? The first step that you ought to do is get to know your ISO, right? If I was a security control assessor coming into an organization, I certainly want to know who the ISO is for that system. And I want to book at least a 30-minute meeting, right? Hopefully your ISO is nice. Y'all should get along. Because if you don't get along, both of your jobs are going to be very difficult to complete, right? So you want to have like just a 30-minute sit down, right? Even if you got a bottle of coffee or whatever, like sit down with them and say, hey, let's just chat. You know what I'm saying? What is the system about? Like, what's going on? What are the, the informal things that you want to know about the system? Because that helps you to kind of understand the culture within the organization. It helps you to understand, where the major issues that you might run into, so that it doesn't catch you off guard later down the line, right? So you want to have that sit down, and of course you want to also sit down and read the SSP, right? At least the system description portion of the SSP, which is like the top half of the SSP, right? You want to kind of read and say, hey, this system is about this. It has all these connections. It had this interconnections. It has, I don't know, all these ports and protocols that are allowed. This is the architecture of the system. You want to understand that, right? You probably want to read that before you even meet with the ISO, so you can have specific questions for them. But nonetheless, you want to try to gather information so that you can start with step one of security control assessment, which is to draft your security assessment plan, also known as a SAP, right? Security Assessment Plan. And this document actually will teach you not only how to do assessment, but also how to build an effective security assessment plan. For the purpose of this lecture, I personally am a fan of FedRAMP templates. If you have worked with me in the past, they're my go-to place for a really good template. It's just, they make them better than anybody. So I'm just gonna type SAP here real quick. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. So you go to fedramp.gov / you can do document-templates, or you can do templates that redirect you. But that's that is the link that you want to go to for the FedRAMP templates. I'm gonna post that in the chat box as well. All right, so here's the security assessment plan template. So let's go ahead and just download that. I'm gonna open this up, right? Oh no, they won't let me open it. Software got deleted. That's a Let's see. Jason, why don't you go ahead and download the SAP if you don't have it already and share your screen with us? You can drive this thing. Surprise.
All right. Give me a second to get to the website.
Meanwhile, apparently I need to reinstall my Office. I meant to do that earlier. For some reason got deleted.
Now, Paul, I don't naturally see a share button, at least in my privileges.
Oh, okay. Maybe I need to upgrade your access. Bear with me for a second. I'm going to try and find. Yeah, let me stop sharing about that.
And it's going to be the security assessment plan template from June 6, 2017.
Yep, that'd be the one. All right, and you should be able to share now.
All right. All right, I'm back as a panelist.
Great.
All right, are we in business?
We are in business. Thank you, sir.
All right.
All right, so this is the security assessment plan template. So this is good because then, Jason, you get to really get to know this document. For those that are not aware of what a template is basically a document that's been framed right, to kind of provide you with guidance on drafting your document, right? So as you can see here, right, they have a cover page, and all you're simply going to do with the cover page is turn it to yours, right? You're going to change the FedRAMP icon, change it to your company icon, right? The third-party assessment organization is basically asking you, hey, as the assessor, what is the company that you're working for? Remember what I said now. There's a conflict of interest if you are the ISO for the system that you are assessing, right? You should be really from another company, right? And I'm not saying that every organization follows that rule, but there needs to be some type of separation, right? Because think about it, if Jason is the assessor, right, and Rael is the ISO, Rael drove right the SSP, and Jason is assessing the SSP, but they both work for the same company, which means they both have the same boss, right? The boss is interested in getting the ATO fairly quickly. So he's gonna pressure Jason and say, hey, don't mark that as a failed control. You know, there's pressure there. So there's gonna be some form of bias on Jason's part to help his company to become successful. However, if he's a third-party organization, right, then he's not likely to get influenced by anybody that is motivated to get the system ATO. And the system ATO is basically their authority to operate. This is their basically the completion. This is like your driver's license for a system to say that you are now FSMA compliant, right? And being assessed is part of the process to become to get your ATO, basically. For those that are not aware of what ATO means, right? So again, third-party assessment organization, you generally want to draft, you want to write down the company that you work for as an assessor, right? And then you simply put for, and then you put the system name, right? And in this case, if it's a cloud service provider involved, because FedRAMP is for cloud, you put the cloud service provider name there. If it's not a cloud system, you remove it, right? And then you put the version number. This is your first one, is obviously version 1.0. And then the version date is the date which it was ratified or signed, right? This I'm not going to go through the process of editing the actual document because again, time limitations. So I'm just going to go through the process of describing them. If you do have questions, please feel free to use the raise hand icon. And Jason, if you can help me out, if you see someone that I might have missed, let me know. But I'll definitely try to call on you.
All right.
Time is right. Yep. When the time is right, I'll try to call on you to sorry, I'm trying to, apparently I didn't allow everybody to talk on here. But yeah, so just use your icon. Jason, if you don't mind just zooming in on that for me, please.
Okay. I'll go back to 100. Is that good, or you want more?
A little more, please. There we go. I think that's good. All right, so right at the top is just basically instructions for the template. So we'll, you probably want to read through that because it basically tells you stuff that you want to know about this document, but we're not going to read through it because I'm going to be guiding you guys through it. So let's go ahead and continue, please. All right, so here's talking about the prepared by, prepared for, right? So they have two sections, prepared by and prepared for, because again, typically it should be two separate companies, right? The assessor should not be under the same company. It should, right? It's not they have to be different company, but they should. So it could be one company in both columns, or it could be the same company in both columns, depending on your situation. All right, so you simply enter the organization name, address, etc. Pretty easy, right? Record of changes for the template. This is pretty much talking about changes to the actual template, not to be confused with changes to your document. I see a lot of people confuse a template with their document. No, the template, this record of change tells you what FedRAMP have done to this template, right? Because it serves the purpose of a template. You are converting this template into your SAP, right? There's a SAP template, but now you're going to convert it to, I don't know, you're working for Nike, the Nike Security Assessment Plan. So this section should be deleted because again, it's talking about changes to the template, not your document. Scroll down, please. Hope that makes sense. If not, pause, rewind, and try to figure it out or ask right now. The next section is your revision history. Now we're talking about your document, your security assessment plan. Jason, what's the name of your system, by the way?
I'm sorry, my daughter walked in, so she threw me off. Name of the system we can use, Risen.
Yeah, your system. No, your system. Or we can do Risen if you prefer.
Yeah, let's use that as an example.
Okay. So our network is Risen, RISEN, Research Information Security Enterprise Network, right? So let's say we need to be assessed, which we actually are undergoing assessment. And Jason is actually going to be doing some assessment work on our system. So this is fitting, right, Jason?
Very much so.
Yeah. So we again, PJ Pros have a system called Risen. It's a hybrid system, right? We have some cloud presence, a lot of cloud presence, and some presence on premises, mostly, endpoint devices, laptops, right? Things of that nature, and a few servers that we use for our lab environment. But that's pretty much, the network. So in this case, the revision history will be talking. So Jason is our assessor. He's going to write the description, which is, hey, this is the initial draft. He's going to put the date of when it was signed, the version of SSP, right? So we have a system security plan. Risen has a system security plan already drafted. He's going to put what version that is that he's assessing. And as the author, he's going to put his name down. All right. Let's continue down. I'm not going to go to the, I'm sorry, go back up real quick. And then, if you're using this document to create your own SAP, how to contact us, you simply just change that to yours, right? You say, hey, if you have questions about this document, here's my information, the email, or you can, and if you don't want people to contact you, delete the whole section, right? As a document custodian, which you are, right? In this case, Jason drafting a SAP will be the custodian for this document. It's the ISSP word, right? He's a custodian, which means he's responsible for making the edits. Don't be afraid to make changes to your document, right? Own it. It's your document. You're responsible for it. If someone has questions, they're going to look to you for answers. So again, have the freedom to say, hey, you know what? I like this part. It makes sense. I do want people to contact me or my boss. Or no, I don't even want this at all. Delete it. Take the liberty to make those decisions. Let's scroll down, please. All right, table of content. I think we all know what that means, so we'll skip that. And we'll just go through the SAP one item at a time. Introduction. What are we talking about introduction? Well, this is what we call technical writing, folks, right? I know a good amount of people struggle with technical writing. Some people, it's just easy for them. The first step in technical writing, especially when using a really good template like FedRAMP, makes sense of what they are saying, right? The next step is, how do I convert that into what I want to say, right? I hope that makes sense. So in the first paragraph, it says, Federal Risk and Authorization Management Program. FedRAMP is a government-wide program that provides a standardized approach to security assessment, authorization, and continuous monitoring for enter the CSP name, right? So let's stop for a second there. What are they saying? Make sense of it, right? FedRAMP is a government-wide program that provides standard approach to security assessment, authorization, and continuous monitoring for cloud service provider name. They're basically saying that, hey, this is what FedRAMP does. They provide they standardized approach, right? They provide guidance, right? You know who FedRAMP is. They make templates to help people become FISMA compliant. Does that apply to in your situation, Jason? Like in real life, like you're actually assessing the Risen network. Does that apply to you?
Yes.
In what way would you change that sentence then to apply? To fit your document? Will you leave it alone? Will you make modifications? If so, what modifications would you make?
Well, we would replace, of course, the name of the cloud service provider.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. I'm not saying we want to edit, but let's go ahead and do that.
Let me see if I've got editing privileges. I'm in read only, so let's see.
Oh, okay. You should be able to download it, I think, if you got it from FedRAMP. It's not from us.
Uh,
Do you have Microsoft?
I do.
Okay.
All right, so here we go. 1 second, please.
Yeah, no problem.
All right.
Yep, there we go. Intro.
Let's get into.
I want to click inside first.
Sorry, we're just trying to get in one page at a time.
Yeah. I think you're in the right spot. I think you just need to zoom in a little more.
There we go. All right.
All right. So back to that first sentence. You said you'll change the CSP name to fit the system name.
Yes.
All right, go for it. Let's do it.
Oops, not sorry.
All right. Now we're only doing the first sentence.
All right, sorry.
I want everybody to just zoom focus on the first sentence. I want to use that as an exercise to show how we convert a template into our own document, right? All right, so is that first sentence good to go by your account, Jason?
Just finishing the reread.
Remember, the scenario is real life, which is you are a security control assessor for the Risen network, right? And you actually need to submit a security assessment plan.
No, I don't think this is right.
Okay. Oh snap! Right, Rahel, just back the bus up on you, Jason.
I'm happy. I'm happy Rahel's here. All right.
Hey, Rahel, I'm so happy to hear your voice. That's awesome.
Chime in. What should I be doing right now?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
No, I mean, if we're talking about PJ Pros, I don't think this is talking about FedRAMP, right?
Yep.
So I don't think this is related to PJ Pros. The
I would
statement.
agree. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jason?
So this first sentence, because it's specific to FedRAMP, we got a PJ Pro specific sentence in there.
Remember context, right? Yeah, remember context, right? You, and it's not, we're not even making it up, right? You are ISO, right? And you are drafting a security assessment plan for Risen because you are on your way to auditing the network, right?
Correct.
So in that case, when you read the sentence, FedRAMP is a government-wide program that provides standardized approach to security assessment, etc. Right? Does that make sense under the context of what you're doing?
No.
No, because they talk. I mean, it makes sense to FedRAMP. If you are a FedRAMP employee making a FedRAMP template,
Sure.
right? So what are our options then? What can we do about that?
We need to describe. We need to introduce and describe PJ Pros.
Yeah. What do you think we can edit in this first sentence to fit your situation?
Well, we would move FedRAMP and type in PJ Pros, and then let's see. Just go to the website and get some copy from the website.
Well, is PJ Pros a government-wide program?
No, I want that needs to be replaced. So something like this.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just kind of placeholding things, but just pulling in information actually about the company at this point.
Okay. Okay.
So
I like it. It makes sense. It's a sentence that makes sense. I think you can definitely make that modification. Let's just go back for a second.
All right.
Hit the back undo button. Now, what I would do is PJ Pros is an IT contract company, so remove government-wide program. No, not the whole thing. Go back, please. Yeah, well, right there, yep. So remove government-wide program and put IT contract company. That provide security, information security services. To federal and private organizations. Period. The organization mission control, mission objective. The organization, I'm sorry, the organization information system. The organization information system used to carry out its mission objective is called the Research Information Security Enterprise Network. And then put in parentheses RISEN, RISEN, right? And then you can delete everything in front of that. That is my translation, Jason, right? Based on what they said, because for me, based on what they said, that's what I wanted to write, right? That complements what they said, right? For me.
Correct.
Right? Does that make what you wrote wrong? Absolutely not. Does that make sense?
Certainly in the world of good, better, or best, what we have on the screen now is best.
Well, you know, you can still argue yours is better too, right? What I want to do for you, Jason, and for those that are listening, I want to empower you to own your document, right? Again, yeah, mine is more descriptive, and I feel like it might complement what the original template wrote. It kind of gave me ideas to write that. But at the same time, again, Jason, your one-line sentence does not make that wrong, right? It was still passable. So let's go back to that. If you can undo it.
I can
Far enough.
Yeah, I won't have us lose the hard work we just did, but I can
It's all good.
I'll smack it back up. So
there we go. Right. So you had that, right? And that's just as right. So I want everybody to understand that, right? And I hope nobody's confused with what I'm saying. Technical writing, you have to take ownership of it. I mean, Jason, without my sentence, you can still defend that sentence, right? PJ Pro is an IT firm with a reputation for innovative and lasting result, right? It talks about PJ Pro's a company. And then you go further and further on, and then you make those modifications to your document, right? It still works. It makes sense, right? You didn't say PJ Pro's is a amusement park that sells bubblegum, right? That would be wrong because it wouldn't make sense.
Correct.
Right. And like Rael echoed earlier, you know, we're not doing anything with FedRAMP. As a company, we love to use a template, which is free, but we don't have a partnership with FedRAMP. We don't have an affiliation with FedRAMP. When you do the audit, it has nothing to do with FedRAMP because we're not going for FedRAMP accreditation. Us. I'm not saying other companies aren't. So therefore, it didn't make sense to leave FedRAMP in this document. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Keep it 100. Keep it real to your situation. Make it make sense. As long as you can defend your document, you're good to go. Right? And that's just the message that I want to get out to you guys. Be open-minded, right, about it. This is not a 1+1 situation. All right. Did that make sense, Jason?
Clear to me, yes.
Awesome. Great. I see Taiwo has had his hand up. Thanks for being patient. Taiwo, you had a question, comment?
No, I was just trying to tell Jason how to make it more pertinent to what the introduction. But you already did that. So, yeah.
My bad. I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
No, you good. I was gonna tell him what you taught me, man. That's all.
All right, cool. All right, so I wanted to take, and I know we only have an hour for this whole webinar today, but I certainly wanted to take a few minutes to really hone in on technical writing, guys, right? And hopefully the advice that I've given you have not taught you how to update an introductory sentence, but rather it's empowered you to make modifications to a template. So I hope that message got across. So now, let me just do a quick time check. What time is this? 12:52. We have about 30 more minutes. So now what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna get you guys to understand each section, and I'll try my best to give you an example of each section so that you at least have an idea of what it is that you're supposed to do. Okay, so let's go ahead and run through that, and then we'll come back and do a recap and talk about next steps. All right, so introduction basically is just introducing you to the system, you know, what's going on. If you scroll down a little bit, please, Jason. Right, it talks about the assessor. Oh, I'm sorry, you went too far down. I'm not trying to go that fast, Jason. So, you know, at the bottom, it gives you like a quick quote on NIST 839. You know, just talking about information security risk. I will leave that because it's a really nice quote, right? But anyways, laws, regulations, and standards is the next section. Let's go ahead and pull that up as much as we can on the screen, right? Laws and regulations is talking about, you know, the different laws and regulation that applies to FedRAMP, right? And applies to, let's see, a summary of the FedRAMP laws and regulations and standard is including the SSP attachment 12, right, of the FedRAMP laws and regulation. If you guys are using the FedRAMP template for your SSP, you'll know there's a section in there that talks about laws and regulation, which should have been populated, right? If you don't know how to do that, there's a whole class on pjcourses.com for you guys to get a refresher. I know you probably hear me say SSP a lot. It's worth if anybody's super fresh on here, stick around for this webinar series, but certainly go back to learn the SSP part so that this part will make even more sense. But anyways, they're simply referencing it here, right? And saying that, hey, put the laws and regulations here. FedRAMP has a good template to help you find laws and regulations. As a security people, I know this part can be very confusing because you're like, I'm not a lawyer. I didn't go to law school. Why ask me for laws and regulations? And you're absolutely right, right? But it's still your job to provide the guidance, right? And to shepherd the right departments. Every company with a decent sized budget have a general counsel, a lawyer team, a lawyer at least, right? At least somebody with a briefcase in the office somewhere that helps them handle their legal matters, right? Those are usually the people that you want to consult with and say, hey, what laws applies to our IT system, right? There's some that should be a no-brainer. If you're a federal system, obviously FISMA. If you're a bank, PCI DSS, right? There's this, you know, but it's not really your job to have the final list, in my opinion. It's really the legal team that should provide you with the final list of what truly applies to you guys. As far as standards and guidance, hopefully your ISO has a documentation library of the things that do apply to this. Again, FedRAMP has a good template as well of what should apply. So you can kind of use that to come up with a good balance of laws and regulation. All right, let's move on to purpose, please. All right, it's just template instructions. If you scroll down a little bit further, we'll see where they talk about the purpose. The document consists of a test plan to test the security controls of blank information system. You know, in this case, RISN, that's been completed by 3PAO, means third party assessing organization, which in this case will be Jason, for the benefit of our company, right? And, you know, so I will probably just leave that alone, right? I mean, other than changing the name and the abbreviations, right? Let's move on to scope. Right, the information system name and title, right? This is where you want to put a information system name, your system abbreviation, and they have a unique identifier. That part, again, remember, we're using the FedRAMP template, so they're catering to FedRAMP processes, right? When you become FedRAMP, and by the way, FedRAMP basically is a way for private organizations. They are a vehicle for private organizations to become FISMA compliant, and the federal government trusts them in their process. They know that they're thorough. So when you have a FedRAMP ATO, the government will trust you, right? They don't have to have FedRAMP. FedRAMP just became like a name brand, like Q-Tip, right? It's not really Q-Tip, it's Cotton Swab, right? But we all call it Q-Tip because they basically own the market, right? They have such a large share. FedRAMP is a company that they have established a good reputation, and they have a partnership with the government so that, you know, when they give you their stamp of approval, the government trusts you, right? If you come to me and I say, hey, this is Paul Ramp, right? right? You might not trust you as much because everybody don't know Paul like that, right? So, you know, they should, but you know, it is what it is. But anyways, the unique identifier is simply if you have an application with FedRAMP, you put it there. Jason's not making a FedRAMP document, so he'll probably just get rid of that column. Again, you're the custodian, get rid of it. You don't need it because we don't have one. But he probably might want to leave. I would leave the information, just the name, the abbreviation in place. Let's scroll down, please. All right, so far so good, easy peasy. Sorry, I missed the top part of that, Jason. You mind scrolling up a little bit? What is that top? Okay, so the physical location of all the different components, right? There are data centers, right? What's a data center, Jason?
A data center is going to be the physical location where hardware is located for the network.
Yeah, where your servers are pretty much located, right? Your centralized things that are centralized, right? Where are they located? You know, organizations have large data centers where you see a large like closets, right? Metal closets with big old computers inside of them, right? Those are your servers, right? And they have HVAC, like a lot of cold air blowing, right? So that it can keep those machines cool because they're so large and so many thousands of people are using them, right? Those are data centers, right? You know, we have a data center in the cloud because we are Microsoft heavy, right? So we have a lot of our infrastructure is actually kept in Microsoft. We have some on-premises here in the office. I don't know if I call it data center. It's more like a little cabinet or whatever, but very, very minimal hardware on premises. But I probably want to mention that here just because we have centralized resources here in the office as well as the cloud. Okay. You simply want to just put the name, right? Most data centers have names, or the login URL at the very least, the IP address, I'm sorry, the physical address and the description of what it does, right? So in our case, Jason, it'd be, hey, we have cloud presence, Microsoft Azure, and then we also have a data center here at the office in Ivy Lane, right?
Yep.
Let's move on. Okay, internet protocol. All right. Sorry, go back up just a little bit more. The integrated inventory workbook also provided an attachment 13. So inventory is the biggest pain point in security, guys. You go to most organizations, they don't have an updated inventory. Most organizations, some organization will actually invest. It's a full-time job. I've seen places where they have like 2 people keeping up with inventory. It's a full-time job. You haven't done inventory, you know it's tedious. And a lot of organizations don't invest in maintaining their system inventory, but you should, because it really is the start of a lot of security stuff. You need to know what you got, right? So anyways, I'm digressing, but the ISO, they use the FedRAMP template. There's a section there for inventory. Even if you're not even a FedRAMP template, all SSP should have an inventory section. I know, if you work on CSAM, there's inventory as well. But this is just simply referencing that, because why create a new inventory sheet when I can say, just go see the SSP. Roles slated for tested. So this is the part where you simply talk about the different accounts that you, the assessor, or you as a part of an assessment team will need, right? And I said team because sometimes it's not just one person. Rael and Jason will actually have to work as a team to assess the RISD network, right? So it'll be both of them. So it will make sense for them to submit one SAP for one system, right? So, but I say all this to say that sometimes an assessor is given an account, right, to test the network. A good amount of times, the assessor, because they're kind of a visiting entity to the company, they usually don't give them an account. They say, hey, what do you need? Let the system admin do it, and then we can do a screen share, and I can prove to you that it's done. But in some places, you're given accounts. You're given accounts to like Splunk, you're given accounts to Nessus to run your own scan or something like that. And this is where you're gonna remember you've had the conversation with your ISO. You say, hey, what's going on? Can I get accounts or can I get account? Okay, I gotta go through you. You already figured that out, right? If you haven't figured it out, well, this section will remind you to figure it out, right? And so here you want to list out, hey, I'm gonna need a regular user account. I'm gonna need a jstone@pjpros.com account, right? Regular user account. Do I need an admin account? Okay, I might want to test some admin functionalities. Most places would be like, whoa, slow your roll assessor. I'm not giving you an admin account. You might break something, right? And some places, they already know the assessor. He knows his way around. Hey, here's an admin account. Go ahead and read-only access. Go ahead and check it out yourself, It all depends on the situation, right? But anyways, this is where you list out the roles. Does that make sense, Jason?
Yes.
Great, glad to hear. Assumptions, right? You are coming in to assess a network. There are certain things that you assume is going to be there, right? The first one says resource, including documentation. An individual with knowledge of the system will be available. I'm the assessor. I'm going to be coming to say, hey, prove that you do this, prove that you have that and this. I don't need difficulty in getting access to that information. I need to say, you show me this, you show me that. PJ Pros will provide login, account information, credentials necessary for testing. If I need an account to test myself, you're going to provide it to me. If not, you want to modify the second part, right? They say, hey, we have a strict policy. You get no account at all. Just ask us for what you need. We'll do a screen share, right? This is you being a technical writer and making those modifications. PJ Pros will permit the 3PAO, the assessor, in this case, Jason, to connect its testing laptop to the network. Do you guys does PJ Pros allow that? Assuming Jason is coming from another company, most companies would say, heck no, you're not connecting your stuff to our network, right? You might get us infected and we're in more trouble. In most cases, that's not going to go. Some cases it might. Again, they have a working relationship and an understanding, then sure, right? I've seen assessors try to plug in their Kali Linux machine, and the ISO's like, oh, hell to the no, you're not doing that on our network. You're not going to implant a Trojan by accident and screw us over. You're supposed to be helping us, not messing us up. So it gets a little tricky sometimes. Have those conversations because you're the assessor. Ask a question. Hey guys, are we allowed to use our own laptop or do we have to use your own? All right, right. The last one, they will permit communication from third-party testing appliance to an internet-hosted vulnerability management service to permit analysis. Will they? Again, it's about interconnection. Would they allow me to bring my laptop that has Nessus on it and plug into your network and run my own scan? Or do they already have Nessus already installed? And then I could just go into it. These are things that you need to ask, right? Scroll down, please. I hope this is making sense. A lot of people get lost and they start becoming robotic with these documents. Stop doing that. That does not make you an assessor. Context. What is my situation? I'm sorry, context. First of all, what does this line mean? Because this template gives me an idea of what I need to do. Now, what is my situation? How do I apply that line to my situation? Then apply it and repeat till you get to the bottom of the document. That's what gives you a quality document. I've seen people draft documents and they have no idea what's inside the document because they just went blind. They did Control F and they did Control Replace and they thought they were done. Please don't do that to yourself. You're doing yourself a disservice and it affects your reputation with your peers. So anyways, secure control that have been identified as not applicable in the SSP would not be tested, right? That's an assumption that's being made, right? You need to make sure that you and the ISO understand that. If you already marked it as not applicable, I'm not going to contest it. That's on you guys. If something happens in the future and the control was applicable, but you guys didn't allow me to test it, that's on you because we made that assumption here. Significant upgrades or changes to the infrastructure or component of the system will not be performed during the secure assessment period, right? That's important too, because if you start making upgrades and I'm the assessor, now it's like I'm assessing version 10.0, which is vulnerable. Now you've gone to version 2.0, and it's like, damn, I don't want to do rework, right? Because now you upgrade it and you're pulling the okie doke on me. That's not cool. For on-site control assessment will be available, right? Someone will be available after hours or weekend work, because sometimes when you want to poke into this network, you might cause adverse effect on network performance. Like if you run a scan, right? A vulnerability scan should be run after hours. This is locking you down to make sure that someone will be there to support you as you try to run those scans after hours, so you don't affect operations. Okay. Hope I'm making sense so far.
Don't mind.
Awesome, awesome. All right. How you feeling, Jason?
Feeling good, feeling great.
Yeah, cool, man. Cool, cool. How you feeling, Rael?
I'm good.
Awesome. I see Nana's here. Hey, Nana. Is that the Nana? Did I think I know? It's been MIA. I just be calling people out. Oh no, she's just gonna stay. She gave me the silent treatment. Is that Mike? Is that the Mike?
Yes, it's Mike Daco.
Mike Dyko. Hey, what's going on, dude? Long time.
Good, good, good.
Yeah, good to hear your voice, man.
Thank you, thank you. Same here. You very clear presenter.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I try, you know. All right, methodology. Let's talk about that, guys. Y'all ready? Okay, let's do it. So now, again, you are the 3PAO, third party assessor. I'm sorry, you're the 3PA, third party assessor, right? Organization means the entire company, but we're talking about you, the assessor. You're the assessor, right? And you're there to test the system, to audit the system. I call it the show me phase because trust but verify, right? You're telling me your SSP that you only allow 8 character pass. I'm sorry, all password has to be at least 8 characters. That's what you told me in your SSP. Prove it, right? Now the big question is, how do you prove it? How, Sway? How do you prove it? Right? There's 3 ways that you can prove that a security control is being followed. The first way, I was thinking about picking on Chris for a second there, but I thought I'd spare him. The first way is through examination, right? Reviewing a document, right? To examine to see if something is actually written, right? So that's one way that you can prove it. So you told me that every single laptop in your network has to have at least 8 character password, which means if I enter a 7 character password, it's not going to work when I change my password. It has to be at least 8 character. You're telling me that. Okay, well, where is it written? That's an examination. Prove it to me by showing me where it's written, right? Show me a policy somewhere, an access control policy somewhere that says all password must be 8 characters minimum, right? That could be a way that I collect an evidence through an examination, through some type of documentation. It needs to be written in your official document that says that it's done, outside of the SSP, of course. The second way that I can get my evidence is through an interview, right? An interview from someone that is someone of authority, someone that it makes sense to collect, to interview, right? In the example of a 8 character password minimum, right? Well, let's see who configured this, right? Maybe the Active Directory admin, because that's where you configure these 8 character password minimum. Now I'm going to go to the system admin. Let's say the system admin is Chris, and I say, hey, Chris, are you attesting? Are you giving an affidavit that says that you have configured 8 character minimum on the network? And Chris will say, yes, I attest and said that I've done it. Then you will write it down and say, Chris, on this day, at this time, said he have in fact configured the network for 8 character minimum. So that's the second way. So the first way we talk about is examination, which is documentation. The second way is through an interview of someone of authority. You're not gonna write the janitor's name down, right? About your character password. Yes, they work for PJ Pros, but they obviously wouldn't even know anything about the password enforcement, right? So you need to interview the right person. That's the 2 ways, right? Examination, interview. The third way that I want to mention is through a technical test. Test it yourself, right? So Jason gets an account, which he already asked for earlier section, and he goes in and he says, okay, I'm going to change my password. And he tries it himself, or he gets on a call with an admin. Hey, pull up your screen. All right, go ahead and try to create a new password. And this time, make sure it's 7 characters, not 8. And then he tries it, and the system goes, this is against policy. You must have 8 character password. Boom. Let me collect the screenshot of that. That control passed, right? That is a technical test. I have verified it myself. I've seen it with my own eyes, and I've got evidence to prove it with a screenshot or a photo camera that shows that this control, that they are in fact following that control, right? So those are the three methodologies, guys. All right, keep that in mind. Examination, interview, technical test. All right, those are the three ways that you can basically collect evidence for to prove that a control is being followed. Does that make sense to you, Jason?
Yes.
Awesome, man. Awesome. All right, let's keep it moving. We have about 15 minutes left. All right, your test plan, right? Secure assessment team. This is very easy. Keep scrolling if you don't mind. This is basically talking about your team, right? In Jason and Rael's case, because I'm about to put them to work in the next few weeks. They're not scared though, right? You're gonna put your team's name on here, right? Your team name, your role, your contact information. They're the assessment team that are assessing the network. PCA Pros provided testing points of contact, right? So now this is talking about the people that the assessors will need to reach out to in order to collect these evidence, whether it's for an interview, whether it's for an examination of a document, or whether it's a technical test, right? Who are the people that they'll need to contact? So let's go down a little bit. Remember now, it's right there, please. This is a security assessment plan, right? This is you basically telling the entire organization, this is how I plan to assess you, right? Without a security assessment plan, you can just walk up in there and be like, hey, I need a screenshot. I need this, I need that. No, you should have talked to them about it first. You should have known who's who first, right? You should have planned this out. You should have communicated with them first. And this is where you put the people name who you're going to be asking for things in the future, right? And this is where you want to write their name out. And you usually talk to your ISO first, right? The ISOs usually say, hey, you know what? Shek is the system admin. You can just go directly to him if you have any Windows question. Our Citrix admin is Christopher. So if you need any Citrix remote access information that you need, just go ahead and talk to them. Or sometimes they're like, nah, don't even talk to any of them. Just come to me. I'll go get you what you need, right? It all depends on how the culture and the organizational policies. Test and perform using automated tools. Again, some places might say, hey, bring your own Nessus, plug it up, right? Or they might have their own Nessus. Well, you know you're going to use Nessus to run your own scan. Or maybe you're just going to be asking the Nessus admin at the organization for a Nessus report. You already worked that out, right? So put the tool name here. The tools that's going to be involved, list them all here. You know, Splunk is a major one for auditing. Or if you're using the cloud like we do, you're using Azure Monitoring Services. List those tools here. These are the tools that you're going to be using. What are you using Azure Monitoring Services for? We're using it for audit, right? For monitoring, system monitoring, to collect event logs, things like that, right? You want to list all that here. All right, let's keep moving. Testing performed through manual methods. Are you going to be doing? I really don't like this section, I'll be honest with you, because this is basically asking you, what are you going to be doing for manual methods? And in my mind, I don't know why FedRAMP put this on here, but in my mind, I'm not about to list out every single thing I'm going to do manually. If you scroll down a little bit, please. I mean, it's going to be a sick chart. And on top of that, like, I might as well just go through the SAR itself. If I'm gonna literally run through the whole SAR, think about it, it's just not realistic for me. It doubles my time, and I think it's a waste of time. I'd rather just go through it, go through the SAR one time, not twice. So, you know, Jason, Rael, I'm quite frankly, I'm perfectly fine with you guys deleting this, but that's what this section is about, right? And then you have the schedule, right? The schedule is basically you explain to everybody, if you scroll down, please, when you plan to do each thing, right? Kickoff meeting, right, is the first thing that you generally want to do, right? Let me take a step back for a second. Earlier, I mentioned you want to sit down with the ISO, the person that knows the system the most from a security perspective, right? You want to have that informal conversation. You want to read their documentation library, right? I want to read that first, right? I want to talk to ISO first, have some informal language first. FedRAMP doesn't have those activities here, but I would do that, right? Because I want to sound like I have some common sense about the network before I go meeting with people. The kickoff meeting is actually the first formal meeting that you want to have. So I want to have those informal things done first, right? At the very least, see the SSP. Then next thing you do, you have a kickoff meeting with to say, hey guys, I am your security control assessor. I'll be assessing your network. I understand you guys have this and that. The information I already have, I'll post it on that presentation. The information I don't have, I will post it as a question on my presentation and say, hey, I'm gonna need to talk with this person, talk with that person. By the way, I need a little bit more information. This is where you meet with all the people that you're gonna be bugging for evidence, all the people that are gonna be impacted, all the people that need to reserve their calendar so that they can make time for you. The kickoff meeting is when you want to meet them and say, hey, we're doing this, right? There's a on the website for those of you guys that are there's a kickoff meeting on the training on pjcourses.com where we talk about we actually have a mock kickoff meeting. So if you want to listen to that, I think it's a really good video for you guys to listen to. After your kickoff meeting, that's almost like your final chance to really get your SAP together. So all those little tidbit information that you couldn't get, you want to grab them during a kickoff, and then you want to basically further, in my opinion, in their case, they want you to start the SAP. Honestly, again, do the informal stuff first. Just say, hey, this is just informal. I'm just trying to see what's what, right? And then you want to start the develop. In my case, further develop the SAP, right? And then you want to review the SAP with your ISO, right? And make sure that they're good with the stuff that you put on there. And you want to finalize it, right? And you want to have an estimated date to do all these things. And then you also want to review the documentation. Again, I don't know why, I'm not trying to be argumentative with FedRAMP, right? They do a very good job. I don't know why your fifth step is going to be to review the documentation. A lot of the stuff that I need is before that. I need to know a lot of things before I even give you a SAP because I don't want to just be generic. But anyways, I'm going to further review the documentation. Now I'm like, clean up some more stuff, checking out your SOPs and things like that. And then you want to start conducting, all the things that you're going to do interviews for, you want to do the interviews for, the things you're going to do the technical tests, you want to do that, right? You want to draft what they call your risk exposure table. And that is, I don't really see a need for that, to be honest with you. A lot of organizations don't do that. It's basically talking about the things that are your security weaknesses, right? Very high level, right? Talk about security weaknesses. But I'm just gonna go straight, so you guys don't have to do that, Jason and Rael. It's really a waste of time. But then you want to draft the SAR. The SAR is definitely important. The SAR is part of your authorization package, right? That you need to submit, right? What I mean by authorization package, when you're done assessing, all your security weaknesses is going to be listed in a report called a POAM report. You're going to take your POAM report, your security assessment report, and your SSP. Those three things put together, right, is what you're going to submit to your authorizing official, your big boss. Your ISO will submit it to your big boss, and then your big boss is going to, your authorizing official, which is like your CISO, your CEO, your CIO, they're going to review everything and say, hey, I'm willing to accept the risk that is listed in this assessment, and I'm willing to allow the system to continue to operate, or I'm willing to allow the system to begin operation, right? So again, the SAR is very important. That's where you're basically listing all your evidence and everything. And then your SAR is delivered to, in your case, not the CSP, Jason, right? The SAR will be delivered to me in this case, and then I'll be able to review it. Scroll down, please. Issue resolution meeting. After you draft your SAR, right, you'll find sometimes the ISO and the security assessor, this is really where their relationship gets put to the test. Because as an assessor, you're marking stuff that passed and stuff that failed, right? And sometimes your ISO like, wait a minute, this didn't fail. Why did you say it failed? Now it becomes an opinion, right? Between two different people, because from you have your perspective, the ISO have their perspective. And in a lot of times you take those perspectives to the CISO, right? And then you guys, compromise. You compromise, you don't want to be a hard-nosed assessor that's like not willing to make room for other people's perspectives, right? But at the same time, you don't want to be that assessor that just lets something that blatantly a security weakness go by, right? I hope that makes sense. But you want to have that issue resolution meeting. You want to have that blocked out. Say, hey, you and I, whatever we don't agree on, we need to get in the room and make an agreement if it's a security weakness or we think it's if we're compliant for each of those security controls. If security control is something that eludes you, you certainly need to go back to RF step 1 and really just start the course from the beginning. So it'll help you understand what I'm talking about. And then send define a version, right, to the ISO as well, so that they can do the sign off. All right, moving on. The rules of engagement is basically talking about about targets and automated scans of IP address together, right? So this is, go down a little bit more, please. This is basically just talking about what those technical tests may include. A lot of places that are doing FISMA, you are generally not going to be, because this now kind of dives more into the red team pen tester world, right? Rules of engagement is something that they use a lot, because when you poke around a system, you have a potential of breaking the system, right? Most assessor jobs don't have that potential, because it's usually not you guys touching the tools, it's you guys asking for reports from the tools, and the people that have already been trained on those tools are providing them to you. So I don't want anybody that's not technical to be like, oh no, I'll never be able to assess. Well, not necessarily, right? A lot of places you're not the one sitting in front of the tools, you're just collecting information. But if you are going to be running the tools, like doing things like port scans, sniffing, traffic monitoring, right? You're busy. You want to basically give a disclosure and say, hey, we might be using this and this and that, the other. Jason and Rael, I expect them to be technical and to utilize, the scanning tools and the monitoring tools. I definitely don't expect them to use this like password cracking. I don't expect them to try to make those types of attempts or spoofing, right? So those are the conversations that Jason and Rael need to have, right? To say, hey, and can I do this? I mean, for starters, if Jason's looking at password cracking via capture and scanning, if he doesn't even know what the hell that means, this first step is to Google it, right? And make sure he knows what it means. And then we have a conversation and say, hey, Paul, are you expecting us to crack passwords? And we're like, no, I don't expect you guys to crack passwords, right? Then, we take it off, right? And then we figure it out from there. Remember, step 1, make sense of this, right? So this is basically rule of engagement. It gets a little technical, right? But, just stick with what makes sense in terms of what you'll be doing on the system. Security testing will not include, right, DOS attacks, right? So these are more high risk pen tests, really. It's all about pen tests. Introduction of malicious code, right? You can actually learn to make Trojans and viruses if you follow our pen test class here, but I certainly don't want you to create one and see if it breaks my system, right? So I would like to keep that on there to say that is excluded, right? End of testing, let's go down, please. We'll notify who at the end of testing. We need to know who that is as the assessor. Communication of test results, who needs to be in the communicate, so that when he sends the SCA that's done, who should be CC'd in that email. Limitation of liability is very, very important, especially as a pen tester. I know it's not a pen tester course. This is more of a security control assessor. We're less technical. But at the end of the day, you need to make sure that you're not being sued for breaking somebody's network. As long as you stay within the confines of this approved SAP, right? You have a limitation of liability, so that you're not breaking the system and being financially responsible for it. Scroll down, please. And I believe that's what the language here is pretty much absolving you from being responsible, because they've allowed you to do the things that you put in this plan. Scroll down, please. And then the right people sign it, right? If Jason were to be coming from another company, right? Someone high up will sign the top line, and someone high up at PJ Pro will sign the bottom line. Okay, scroll down, please. Man, look at that. Acronyms, right? You got all sorts of acronyms. RISM, it should be acronym, right? SAR, that should be the acronym here. Scroll down, please. All right, the test case procedure, that's really where you're going to put your security assessment evidence and things like that. We're going to be going over that in the future webinars. And then the pen test plan and methodologies. You don't need that for most assessors. Again, unless you're super technical and you know how to hack, you generally don't need that section. And then your attachments, I don't think if applicable, attachment must include pen testing. Rules of engagement, it's not applicable. Pen testing, most cases, these are not applicable unless you're like a red team. Again, very technical hacking expert, which I honestly don't think you need to be when you want to go for a job like this. Scroll down, please.
So Paul, A and B are not going to be applicable right now?
A is definitely applicable, right? B and C for you guys, it's not, because I'm not expecting you guys to actually do a pen test, at least not yet.
Okay.
Stick around and you will be able to pen test. Scroll down. That's it.
Paul, a question.
Yeah, what's up? Man?
Under the attachment, I see definitely there with the FedRAMP template, it's specific to pen testing. But where would the artifacts, like screenshots and stuff, be placed in a document like this?
Great question. So the artifacts are usually in the SAR, and I think next webinar, which is tomorrow, we're going to be going over the actual SAR, right? So when you place your evidence, they're usually kept in a folder, simple Microsoft Word folder. I'll make an artifact and I say, okay, this artifact, I might put the security control number and save it, right? When you submit your authorization package, which includes your SAR, as well as your SSP, as well as your POAM, I also have a folder that says artifacts, right? And that artifacts is labeled accordingly, right? So that I usually just keep there, and then I submit it with the SAR. Did that help?
Thank
Make
you.
sense? Good, good.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, guys, I know we're almost out of time. I'll open up for some Q&A. I know some people have to drop. I think Jason might be one of them, but I do want to explain the what else we're going to be doing. Do apologize, guys. It's kind of.
Yeah, I do. Anything else you want on screen share, or want me to go ahead and stop sharing?
No, you can stop sharing.
Okay.
Thank you, Jason. So guys, tomorrow, and I'll be posting this in the group chat as well. Tomorrow, at 1 p.m., we're gonna be back here. We're gonna talk about the SAR. And then on Tuesday at noon, we're gonna have a third part. And then by lecture 4, we're gonna have the 4th on Wednesday at 7 p.m. You guys are more than welcome to attend those. I'll be posting those as well. Sorry for the lateness. My marketing guy apparently, I think he went on vacation and it's not posting these things out, so I got to do it myself. I hope you caught that. Anybody need me to repeat those times? I'll post them on the group chat, on the WhatsApp chat.
Yeah, repeat them.
Did you go ahead and repeat them?
Yes, please. Can you hear me, by the way? I know it's a little loud where I'm at.
Say that again, Taiwo?
I said, can you hear me? I know it's loud where I'm at.
Yeah, sure. So the next one will be on Sunday at 1 p.m. The third one will be on Tuesday at 12 noon. And the fourth and final one will be on Wednesday at 7 p.m. So we're going to keep getting deeper and deeper into security control assessment. Right, today we just touched the tip of the iceberg, which is the security assessment plan. The next time we're going to talk about security assessment report, which is tomorrow. And then on Tuesday, we're going to talk more about, we're going to further develop our skills in assessments, security assessment reports. And then the last one, we're going to talk about putting everything in the POAM and submitting your authorization package, right? So that's the plan for this webinar series.
Oh, I feel like I'm back in class.
Yeah, you should. It's pretty much an expressed combo here. So you guys will get all the details. I'm not gonna hold anything back. You get all the juice, all the good stuff. The difference is Jason and Rahel, who are on this call, they will actually be drafting these documents, and a couple other people that are in the program will be doing that, and I'll be, taking the time to review it and make sure they are on point with it. Okay. All right. So Jason, I know you got a job, so thanks for hanging in there, man, and I'll see you tomorrow. In the meantime, I'm gonna hang around for a few more minutes and see if folks have some questions, and then we'll go from there. All right. I see Austin has a question. How you doing, Austin?
I'm doing well, Paul. Thank
Hey.
you for the webinar. Interesting.
My
I joined
pleasure.
very late. I think it's 12:15. I joined very late. So
Okay.
yeah. So my question is your website. I have a profile. I've been trying to log on and I've been having issues. I couldn't get back to my account for some reason because it asked me to update my profile, which I did. I've tried every means to log on to my account. I'm not able to do that. So I don't know what's
Okay.
going on. Mhm.
Okay, yeah, just hang tight. Let me definitely figure out what's going on with that, Austin, and then we can troubleshoot that right away. So sorry you're experiencing technical problems there. We'll figure it out.
We're done for today, right, Paul?
Yes, Rahel, we are done for today. Unless you want to learn more. I'm just kidding. No, we're done. If you want to hang up, if you have, I'm just gonna see if there's any more questions before we adjourn.
Okay, sure.
All right, looks like everybody's good, man.
Hey,
All right,
Paul.
Mr. Paul.
Hey,
I mean,
Chris.
it's good to see you again, and it's good to hear, I mean, you lecturing us again. Yeah, it's a good feeling. I really want to thank you for
Yeah,
taking
my
the
pleasure.
time to do this.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. My pleasure. Always good to have some old and familiar faces back here. So always good to see everyone. And hope everyone's doing well. And you know, if you're and prospering and all that good stuff. All right, I'm gonna stop
Hi,
the
Paul.
recording. Hey, what's going on?